a lot of people don't realize that 8% of searches online are actually about first and last names. There's a slew of use cases that probably thousands of use cases that people are using it for, but roughly cluster into four types. So B2C, consumer connectors, finding long lost families and friends, consumer verifiers.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Business Ninjas. Today, I'm here with Harrison Tang, President, CEO, and co-founder of Spokeo. How are you doing today, Harrison?
Good. Thank you, Andrew, for having me.
Oh, it is my pleasure. Appreciate you spending some time with us here on Business Ninjas. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and about Spokeo.
Yeah, so my name is Harrison Tang. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Spokeo. This is my first and only job so far, so that I've been doing this since college. Spokeo is a people search engine and identity platform that organizes about 19 billion records into 16 million entities to help about 600 million entities, and to help about 15 million users to search, connect, and know who they're dealing with.
So nice work if you can get it. You have decided to employ yourself right out of college, and it worked out.
Well, I should say, I study intersection between electrical engineering and applied physics, and I'm not sure I could get a real world job. So that's why I started a company.
So tell me a little bit about the origin story. That again, you started this pretty much right out of college, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So tell us the origin story, and when was that exactly?
So that was back in 2006, in the midst of the Web 2.0 era. So at that time, it seems like every other month there's a new social network popping up and getting funding. So we thought there's a unique opportunity to create a social network aggregator that helps streamline people's digital lifestyle. So that's how we started. And I was able to convince my college roommates. I'm not that convincing, so I couldn't get anyone else but other than my roommate. But at the very least, I was able to convince my roommates to join this venture.
And they're all still with you at Spokeo?
Yes.
Excellent. And what verticals do you service? I mean, is this a consumer only platform, or who are your customers at Spokeo?
Yeah, so the market vertical is called people search, and a lot of people don't realize that 8% of searches online are actually about first and last names. There's a slew of use cases that probably thousands of use cases that people are using it for, but roughly cluster into four types. So B2C, consumer connectors, finding long lost families and friends, consumer verifiers. So for example, a famous blogger once said, Spokeo before you date, right? So trust but verify. I guess dating research is the thing.
Wow, trust but verify on the dating front. Boy, we have become a cynical species, haven't we?
Well, with the new generative AIs, I guess this is becoming more and more important. But yeah, and then the third vertical is the business connectors. So for example, real estate agents using Spokeo to find prospective sellers. And then lastly is business professional verifiers. So for example, e-commerce fraud mitigations and identity verification, those kind of services.
Excellent. And I assume you're not the only players in this space. What makes you stand out from your competition at this point?
So our brand is about transparency. So I would say we're probably the most transparent data companies out there. The fact that I'm taking these interviews, I had a conversation and a panelist discussion with the former CIO of Obama campaigns and different privacy leaders in regards to topics of data privacy. I think we are probably the most transparent data companies that is willing to actually not just talk about how we do it, but how our service actually impacts for how we leverage data for good and makes positive impacts to our audiences.
Excellent. I mean, data is so all pervasive now. What makes your data, what differentiates the nature of your data from your competitors?
So actually, we're the only company in our space that actually is vertically integrated. So most of the people search engines that you see online actually just integrates with another third-party APIs. So we not only build our own user experiences, but we actually aggregate our own data. We actually process our own data. And that's part of how we were able to provide more transparent service to our users, because at the end of the day, if you use someone else's API, how in the world are you going to even know where the data comes from, right? Like when you aggregate about hundreds of sources, like, it's already hard enough to actually have what's called data lineage and provenance,
Yep.
to know where the data comes from. Like if you make a mistake picking the right best phone number, if you don't even have that transparency and have that integration, how do you even provide that kind of intelligence to your end users? So actually, we're the only one in our space that can actually answer these questions, because we're vertically integrated. We not only provide and aggregates our own data, but we also build user experiences on top of our own data to provide that comprehensive solution.
Excellent. And what role is AI currently playing for you in aggregating this data?
So a lot of people, I feel like, misuse the word artificial intelligence. A lot of people call logistic regressions AI, and I'm not sure that's our definition. In our definition, generally speaking, AI leverages technologies such as neural networks, convolutional networks, and those kind of things to solve a particular problem. And in that sense, we don't really leverage it for data linking. We are building things, data modeling and models around payment fraud. So trying to predict whether this particular transaction is a fraud or not. That's more like a AI model. But that said, for data linking, entity resolution, we do not leverage AI models to do that at this moment.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. What are the typical challenges that you are solving and problems you're solving for your customers?
So we have a lot of use cases. So the typical marketing methodology is more top down. So it's called segmentation, but because we have what's called long tail marketplace, we have hundreds, if not thousands of use cases. We have to do a bottom up clustering approach. Mm-hmm. So when we're doing clustering and leveraging different methodologies, such as jobs to be done methodology, roughly it goes down to that 2x2 matrix, customer matrix that I just shared earlier, right? So the first one is consumer connectors. Mm-hmm. So they are looking for contact information to reconnect with their long lost families and friends. And then consumer verifiers and protectors, they already know who they're dealing with, but they just want to make sure they get referential information to trust but verify. Right? And then you have the business B2B connectors, such as marketing use cases. And then lastly, B2B verifiers and protectors, such as identity verifications, know your customer, and financial crime compliance use cases.
Gotcha. All right, let's switch gears for a minute into the marketing world. It is the time where you have to tell your story to get people to do business with you. What role has content played in the growth of Spokeo?
Content is king, right? Like if you don't have good content, you're not going to be able to actually attract your audiences. So content has been a critical part of Spokeo's growth strategy. So we divide content into two types. One is the dynamically generated content. So for example, most of the pages that you see on Spokeo today, right? Like whether it's on person entities or address entities and so on, those are dynamically generated, right? And then at the same time, we also have human generated content. We have a very, very active blog. We actually have a huge TikTok presence. We have almost 150,000 followers on TikTok. and we're growing our YouTube follower count as well. So content is very, very important because only when you have good content, you will be able to attract your target audience.
Excellent. And tell me about the last couple of years through COVID, how you've managed to grow the business through COVID. I personally, I would imagine as more and more people work remotely and from home, there's more of a need to verify contact information than ever, and that a service like yours would be invaluable. Tell me about the growth in the last couple of years.
Yeah, unintentionally, Spokeo is a beneficiary of the kind of work from home kind of a movement, and as more and more activities move toward online, obviously there is a growing need for a service like Spokeo. So let me put it this way: we're not qualified for government aid or anything like that. We haven't been adversely impacted by COVID. Actually, in fact, when everyone was locked at home and they have to kind of move all their interactions online, more and more people are using our service as opposed to less.
Hey, again, sometimes problems can turn out to be a win-win situation for you. And again, I hate to say that a pandemic played into your hands, but if people need your service and you're already in place to fill their needs, there you are.
Yeah, I always share with our team, we don't pick the timing picks you. And the question is whether you're ready for it. I think obviously no one could have predicted what happened on March 2020. And honestly, I just remember on that Friday, we thought that we would come back to the office in 2 weeks, right? When we have to evacuate, basically.
Yeah.
And then I think a couple of months when I came back, when I dropped by the office for the very first time, a couple of months after, it feels like people just rush out, right? It feels like it's like a sudden evacuation, like like there are water bottles on people's desks that there's just
Post-apocalyptic site. Yeah,
exactly. It's so unreal. It's just ridiculous, So obviously no one could have predicted that. No one could have predicted what would happen, right? No one could predicted whether you're going to see challenges or benefits, and and in our case, I think we're just ready to provide our service to more users.
well, hey, it's the modern era. You have to be agile. You have to be able to pivot because we don't know what's around the corner. And it sounds like you guys are uniquely positioned to be able to handle whatever comes. Tell me something. Look at the calendar a year from now. What's something you'd like to be celebrating personally and professionally?
Yeah, I am a true believer that revenue is a lagging indicator of the value you create for your customers. So I like to celebrate value creations that we deliver to our customers. In other words, product improvements, because products definition is solutions to customers' problems. So I like to celebrate product improvements or product increments that we deliver to our customers. So for a year from now, I would like to celebrate improvements in our data quality. At the end of the day, our product, the value exchange we have with our customers is to provide the best people intelligence for our users to help make more informed decisions. So I would like to see if we could improve our data quality to the next level, whether it's on the coverage of the data coverage or data freshness, or most importantly, and the holy grail of the data world is data accuracy, in those 3 dimensions. If we can make strides in those areas, I would be very, very happy about that.
Excellent. Please tell us your URL where people can find Spokeo and what social media outlets you're using these days.
So you can find Spokeo at www.spokeo.com. And then you can also follow us on all the major social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, like any social media we're trying out, and we're trying to connect with different audiences. At the same time, you can also find me at Tang Talks, TANGTALKS, on different social media channels as well.
Excellent. Harrison Tang, I appreciate your time. I wish you and your company all the best. And I hope you meet all your goals. And I appreciate what you're doing for people, because you're enabling people to do what they need to do in an efficient manner. So thank you for spending some time with us here today on Business Ninjas.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Andrew.